Hi, thank you so much for joining the Louie File again today. As you can see, I have a special guest with me today. Most of you, many of you probably that watch this would know who she is. This is my wife, Tracey.
I'm the one who shares his name.
Today marks our anniversary, and we are calling it 25 years. You might say, well, what do you mean you're calling it 25 years? Well, you know, over the years we've had the question many times, how long have you guys been married? Which starts this whole, rock
it's kind
slide.
of like a trick question. And yeah, it's funny.
So we're here to just kind of explain and tell a little bit about our story here, how we got to this 25-year marker. I'll give it to you the Cliff Note version, and that is we were married for 5 years. We ended up divorced, and we were divorced for 2 years. Mm-hmm. We were remarried after that, and now we have, today marks 20 years, the second try at this thing. Wow. So it was 5 minus 2 plus 20, so that equals 25.
And actually, we've known each other for like 31 years, so.
Probably more than that, actually, 32 or 33, I think.
Wow, that's crazy. Who'd ever thunk it?
I don't know. It's quite an amazing feat. If you've watched the Louie File very much, then you probably have heard me talk about being in addiction in the past. And Tracey was there during this whole process, and she kind of saw me dabbling in the beginning, mm-hmm. really, all the way up until full-on dependence on substances. Mm-hmm. I guess, when you marry someone like that, you think, well, it's fun, it's a party, it's a good time, it's manageable at first. Because, that's how everyone ends up into the bondage of addiction. You don't start off bound up, you start off having a good time, enjoying yourself, social.
And I was doing drugs too, I don't really I feel like I wasn't really addicted, it wasn't like it was calling my name or like I just couldn't get away from it. I think, I wanted to do it because you were doing it, mm-hmm. Really. And then after a while, I kind of started going to church. We were living together. And then I started going to church about that time and started kind of feeling bad about sleeping with you. not being married, So, just little by little, I just couldn't do it anymore,
Yeah, your conscience kind of awakened before mine did.
Mm-hmm. I think that's right.
So we dated for quite a while, in and out of boyfriend-girlfriend type scheme or whatever, and then we decided we were going to move in together.
Yeah.
So we do this, not really thinking about the fact that we weren't married or,
mm-hmm.
That really wasn't an issue
it's kind
per
of
se.
The place where everyone came to party.
Yes, it quickly mm-hmm. did turn into that. So that lasted a year, 2 years, I think, something like that, mm-hmm. until finally Tracey couldn't do that anymore. You've been going to church, so mm-hmm. one day you just decided, I can't do this.
Yeah, I was like, we either got to get married or I need to move out. I just felt that bad about it, And Louie's like, yeah, let's get married. All for it.
Yeah, so that's what we did. We got married, and that'll fix it.
Yeah, he's like, okay.
Never mind all the other chaos,
that wasn't part of it.
All the other problems and things that weren't lining up.
Actually, I think there was a letter or something that I wrote at the time, wasn't it? That, and then it actually came full circle later on in the story.
So we got married. Of course, at that time the whole wedding ceremony and everything, all our friends, everybody was drunk and high. And
did we have like a case of alcohol or wine or something that we passed out? Like everyone got their own bottle or something. Yeah. Ugh.
And people gave us pot for gifts.
Yeah.
It was just the life we were living. So,
mm-hmm.
and then so now we're married, and it seems to have soothed one aspect of the tension here. Tracey feels a little better now that we're married, so we've step one and going in the right direction.
We got that going.
Lots of other additives and chemicals and things going on. Mind you, I had my own business, and I was working 6 days a week and fully functioning as far as the world might think. You know, lots of people knew I drank and liked to party and do things, but it never stopped me from getting up and going to work, which is, I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I think what that did was actually prolong the time before I finally crashed. You know, if you're somewhat functioning in your addiction,
kind of gotta.
You don't see the problem. You don't know that there's a problem. You know, you just continue in it and continue until finally there is some point of cave-in, which came years later. But so we were married now. We were doing what we were still always doing, going to bars, going to concerts, getting high and drunk with all of our friends, and just loud and, you know, doing whatever the flesh was big enough to do, essentially. And all the conflict and drama and misunderstanding, all the stuff that comes with that between friends and girlfriends and all these different interactions with people. So we were married for 5 years. And then finally, at that point, my addiction had gotten, to me, I don't guess I saw it, I was blind to it, but to Tracey it was becoming dangerous and scary, I guess.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, maybe, you know, a couple years into the marriage, you know, I started going back to church, and I started going on a regular basis, and started teaching a youth class for girls, like an etiquette class. It was a lot of fun, and I was all in, you know, and it just got to the point where I was so in love with Jesus that this at home was completely just
not working.
Yeah. You know, it broke my heart because I loved you, and I didn't want things to you know, disappear, but I knew that there had to be a change.
I wasn't in a position to want what you wanted. I wanted what I wanted, and if you don't, then good for you.
Yeah.
Like, essentially, see you later.
Yeah.
But not really. I don't really want you to leave.
Yeah.
But I just want you to put up with me.
Yeah. And
so there came a moment.
Yeah.
When you had to confront me and ask me.
I pretty much
in a clear case.
Because this is what I boiled it down to. You know, I went to the Lord. I went to my pastor. I went, you know, to my girlfriend, my Christian girlfriends, and you know, and it all boiled down to this: are you willing? If Louie was willing, that's all. It's all it took. Because God could do anything, right? So, but He's not going to force Himself on someone. And I can't change you. Yeah. So I boiled it all down. If you were willing, and then what'd you say?
Well, the way I remember this was that she asked me, are you willing to make this relationship work? Mm-hmm. Now, that's the way I've always repeated it, because I think that's what, essentially, that's right. What you said. And so, as she's asking me this, are you willing to make this work, our marriage, our life together? What I hear is, in my ears, you know, there's a cartoon or a comic strip that I used to see, and it would say, what she said and what he heard. Yeah. And that's exactly how this was. Are you willing to make this relationship work? Now, I heard the actual words, but what I was hearing in those words was, are you willing to straighten your act up? Pull yourself together, Louie. Yeah. Stop drinking, stop doing all these things. That's because I felt like that's what she meant. And I think ultimately that is what she meant, but she also knew that if I was just willing to say, yes, I want it to work, then this other stuff would eventually take care of itself. Right. Of course, I had no ability to work through these things. And so my thought was, I'm not willing to give up my partying, and that's what you want, so no, I'm not willing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just went to go stay with a friend for a couple of weeks thinking, you know, that this would give time to, you know, kind of think about it and go, oh, yeah, no, you know. But that's not what happened. So we ended up filing for divorce, and I moved out, and I got my own place, and, just all kinds of stuff. But while I was at my own place, I'll tell you this story. I remember one morning I was in the shower, and I heard the Lord say, pray for Louie every day. I was like, right. I was not having it. I was like, no. And so the next morning, I hear the same words, pray for Louie every day. I was like, ah. So this went on, and finally I said, fine. I'll pray for Louie every day. And so I just started praying for him, and I didn't know why. I didn't think really that anything was going to change. I just had no hope in that at all. So really.
So in a sense, you were kind of standing in for me.
Even when
not fully maybe understanding it, but
yeah, it was scary. I didn't.
So those 2 years for me got darker and darker and darker, and you just when you didn't think it could be darker, it got darker. So I kind of didn't have any reason to come home or to act right at all, and nobody to pretend in front of or anything else. I was just all out there. So, which actually was a good thing in the end. It didn't kill me, and it led me to a methadone clinic in Evansville. A friend of mine come over here and stayed up all night with me and showed me where it was because his wife had gone there. So I started going there because a friend of mine that I had spent several years doing drugs with seemingly had gotten his life somewhat together by this methadone treatment. So I thought, that's where I'm going. So that's what I did. And so I started seeing a counselor and having to go there every day. And the ride there was therapeutic for me because I was in the car by myself for weeks and weeks, just me and me. And
like 45 minutes of drive.
That's probably closer to an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, closer to an hour there and an hour back. So it was really good for me. But so the counselor, the clinic wants you to go to NA or AA, and I didn't really care anything about it. So my counselor told me that I could go to church. See, this is the way it all kind of, it was like the perfect storm because I was already sort of playing around with that in my mind, I think. I had a Bible from when I was a kid, but I just couldn't make much sense of it. So my counselor says, you go to church, bring me a bulletin, I'll count it as a meeting. And I'm thinking at the same time, I like kind of wouldn't mind going to church. I'm trying to get my life figured out here, and the Bible's got the answers. I know it does. I just don't know how to fish them out.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. The Bible, churches talk about the Bible. They teach the Bible. That's what I'm doing.
There you go.
It wasn't any more complicated than that. I wasn't really looking for God even per se. I was just looking for some kind of answers, direction, wisdom, understanding. So I started going to this church that Tracey had been going to. I honestly didn't go there looking for her, but it was the only one that I'd really been to as an adult, and I kind of had a little knowledge of some of the folks there, so I was a little less weirded out about going. So I started going there, and of course Tracey's got her guard up now. She thinks I'm up to something.
Yeah. But it was kind of funny though when he walked in. Of course, I didn't greet him. I don't remember really greeting you or anything, but I think I might have.
Yeah. Now, mind you, we hadn't really spoken hardly at all.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole time we weren't angry. We just separated, went separate ways, and that was it.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah. So he walks in the door, and of course, I guess someone either says that you're not there for me, but that you're looking for answers. For some reason, I knew that. But
Maybe
anyway,
I told you.
Maybe it was.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, 20 years ago.
I think I was probably trying to ease your stress, so you didn't feel like I was hunting you.
Well, I guess it worked. But I remember being in the choir, and I was singing this song, and this tear comes down my cheek, and I was like, oh, what is that? Because we connected eyes, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? So anyway,
there's an old flame burning in your eyes.
Made tears come out. Yeah, so we started talking and stuff, and I think at the time I had bought a car that wasn't worth a darn, and Louie said, well, I'll come get you and take you to a revival. And I was like, right?
Like an alternate universe.
Yeah. And he actually showed up. I was like, whoa, he actually did what he said he was going to do. And I don't know, kind of just, I think we had dinner together at my apartment one night. And
oh, the test.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the test. Louie had said something about, I'd follow you anywhere you want.
I'll try anything, or I'll do anything, or something, yeah.
So I was like,
you know how guys do, they say stuff.
Yeah, I want you to be a mother of my children. I mean, the whole 9 yards, right? And so I was like, oh, I know. So
she gave me a test.
I did. I made some broccoli. And I put lots of cheese on it, you know, just to see.
Because she just knew if he eats broccoli,
That's
he'll do anything.
Yeah, that's got to be the test. And I don't know.
I think I got one bite in. To me, I felt like I was eating lawn clippings, but with cheese on it.
But
I tried it.
Yeah.
And that to you was a big victory.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. And I think I even remember the conversation we had at the dinner, and it was about meats for idols. And I was like, what? I mean, there was just something different about something that was going on with him.
Well, I know that there was a moment in that revival. There was a Wednesday night, because we went every night, and I can't imagine anything that would have made me not go there. I think God was he had me in a lasso, you know, and he was reeling me in.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that at the time, but the Wednesday night of that revival, it was time to put up or shut up. It was, you know, choose you this day. It was one of those moments, and I remember looking at Tracey and saying, "Do you want to go to the altar and pray about our relationship?" Of course, she's thinking, "I don't know what relationship you're talking about." You know, I thought we were doing pretty good. We're hanging out. We're not arguing or fussing. You know, I'm thinking we're moving the right direction. She's thinking,
I just didn't know. You know, was he going to go back to drugs? Was he going to? Is this just a? You know, I just didn't really trust you. You know, at that time.
Well, and I always tell people that you didn't have any reason to. I mean, I don't have any hard feelings about it because I mean my track record wasn't great. So we go to the altar, and essentially what I did was I just broke, and I said, God, you have to show her. I mean, business.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like much of a prayer, but what I've discovered since then is I'd stumbled upon the secret to life with God, and that is, God, you have to do it.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, he has to be the one to do it. We can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't make her trust me. I can't be faithful. I can't keep myself from doing drugs. I mean, what can I do? All I can do is say, God, you have to do it.
Yeah, that's right.
And so that night, what happened, I got up from the altar and I was a whole lot lighter, and Tracey was going to her apartment and I was coming back to the house. We were, you know, we were not living together, married. I mean, we were still officially divorced at this time. And on my way home, my life was transformed in my car. A few days later, it became clear to me that God had moved in. And that when this happened, there was a sense of peace and contentment, and it was like God was saying to me, I got this.
Oh, thank you.
And it was immediate that I knew right then I was going to be okay whether Tracey ever trusted me again, whether I even got to talk to her or see her again. God gave me this assurance, this hope, this wholeness that Tracey couldn't have given me anyway.
Right. That's right.
And this is the thing that's amazing is, see, the world tells you that you're lacking, or, you know, she completes me, he completes me. But
50,
God said,
50.
She's my better half, or,
Yeah.
my other half, or whatever you want to say. And God's going, no, I am what makes you whole. And if you and I come together and become whole in one, and then her and he come together and become whole in one.
Right.
Now we can operate in the way that God intended.
Yeah. Two complete people
Yes.
together.
Yes, two people that are coming from the same source,
Right.
instead of trying to suck the life out of each other all the time,
Ugh.
expecting from someone else what only God can give.
Right. How exhausting.
So all that started to become more and more clear. Well, I don't know how long it was, a month or 2 months.
It was about 4 months, I think.
There was a couple
Oh.
that she was renting the apartment she was in from, and they were Christians and they were counselors.
Marriage counselors, yeah.
They told Tracey they didn't know me at all. I don't guess I'd ever met them before, but they had known enough to believe I wasn't worth coming back to. And that, I mean, I don't know how they came to this conclusion other than the fact that Tracey, we're already divorced, she's already got her own place, why go backwards, I guess, is all and these are Christian people that I'm assuming think that God transforms lives, but but they didn't seem to believe that for my case. But so they said, why don't you come and visit us, talk to us before you do this? And Tracey had said something to me, and I said, okay.
Yeah.
Which was probably another mind blower to her that I
Yeah.
would agree to that.
Right.
But at this
Yeah.
point, I had enough spirit legs under me to where they couldn't change what I know.
Yeah.
They couldn't change what had happened in here. I knew I had no fear of what they were going to say.
Yeah.
So we went to see
It was
them.
like 3 hours, something like that. I was like, just over and over. And
Well, their attitude was they thought that I had just put religion in place of addiction, drugs and alcohol, and
maybe they see that a lot,
they probably do.
And but they hadn't met you.
There was no hope,
Yeah.
though. That's what bothered me is
Yeah.
they didn't seem to have any hope. Now Christians they don't have to be naive, but in 1 Corinthians 13, the Bible says love hopes or love believes all things.
Right.
So I didn't sense there was any hope or belief in what they were saying about Christ being able to mend this.
Right.
But anyway,
That's okay.
they pushed and pushed, and we just went right on with what we were going to do, and so
Yeah.
we got remarried.
Yeah, we sure did. It was funny too because, well, of course, we did everything the right way. Like we didn't sleep together before.
We didn't live
all of
together.
that. But there was Willie and them were going to Atlanta on a mission
This is
trip.
the guy that actually married us the
Yeah.
second time. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we got married at choir practice, which is another thing. It was. I'll tell this. I had blue jean shorts on, with a white doily top.
Doily top.
Doily, a pearl necklace, and he had just bought me a dozen red roses for my birthday, which was the next day, which is tomorrow. And but anyway, so we took a red rose, and I didn't really have a camera, but I had a Polaroid.
Huh?
Had
Kids, Polaroids, you have to look that up in the artifacts.
This is 20 years ago, so. But anyway, yeah. So we got the a tenor and a altoid.
Alto.
Yeah, alto. To sign the marriage release.
So we went to Atlanta, Georgia
Yeah.
on a mission trip, essentially for our honeymoon.
Yeah. So I slept with the girls.
Yeah, the boys and the girls. We had some youth and some youth leaders or whatever. There was 2 van loads of us, and we slept on mats inside of a shelter.
It was.
And that was our wonderful honeymoon.
It was called the Safe House.
But we had a blast. We got
Yeah.
to kind of hang out with some kids and older folks in the projects, and
Fed the homeless.
did all kinds of cool things while we were there.
Went to Stone Mountain.
So
really, our whole marriage, the second time, has really been for others. Seems like.
yeah, it's what God called us to, which eventually led us to teaching Sunday school and sharing our story in jail and prison and on television, on YouTube,
Oh, gosh.
writing. Tracy wrote a book. There's so it's just grown and grown and grown into all these cool, amazing things.
Yeah.
Well, and we are still teaching a Bible study at our church and in our local jail.
It really is a miracle, isn't it?
Yes, it's God's keeping.
Yeah, I look back at all the things that God has kept us, and it just, such awe.
And we have watched, lots of folks in and out of jail, in and out of jail, in and out of rehab, in and out of rehab.
Yeah.
But you know what? We just keep telling them the truth because you can't do much with a lie. All you can do is just share the truth, tell people the truth, remind people of the truth, and pray that God, by His Spirit, opens up, awakens them, gives them revelation.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you.
Because that's the only thing that changes us.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. It's Him and Him alone.
It takes a miracle. So
it does.
I don't know what else we need to tell.
Yeah.
This is a pretty lengthy story, when you say 25 years worth in a few minutes. So
yeah, that's not too bad. And we're still in love. I don't know.
Well, somehow you go from you're friends, and then you're like dating, and then you're married. But a lot of times, if you're not careful, you lose the friend thing. And then I've heard sometimes that Christian couples, a lot of times, not just Christian, but couples sometimes will become business partners. And in our case, it's not business partners, but it's almost like ministry partners. And so you can really lose the friend or the married aspect if you're not careful, because now you're just all about the mission.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, so there is a little bit of focus and refocus that has to happen sometimes.
I kind of feel like, though, for me, it's because Louie always talks about the Lord. Always talks about the Lord. But, you know, I had, for 7 years, I prayed so hard that he would come to know Christ as I knew him. And so now that he does, I'm not going to stop that. It's like...
Well, you know what?
And it's a back and forth. I mean,
Yeah.
and I feel like when Louie got saved, I came alive. I mean, I really feel like that. You know, because I've been religious or going to church since I was 8 years old. You know, I mean, but I've never known the Jesus that I know now since you got saved.
Yeah.
I've never known him like that. And now, I mean, I'll pick Jesus every time over anything else.
I always tell people my wife left me for another man. But he's Jesus, and what are you going to say about that?
That's right. That's a good point.
So one thing, Tracey, we'll end with this. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes we're telling this story about being married and divorced and remarried and all these kind of things, and sometimes I forget to tell people that we remarried. You know, you get all caught up in all the story of the failed marriage and the divorce, and then like, oh yeah, we got remarried again.
Yeah.
And then Tracey would always say,
that my first husband was a jerk. And really what I've come to understand and discover is that my first husband died. I mean,
the
it
old
really
jerk
was.
died.
Yeah, he did. I mean, so I don't even bring anything up from the first time we were married because I kind of feel like it doesn't count. You know, I mean, that guy.
Yeah, you're talking about someone else.
Yeah.
It often feels that way to
Yeah.
me when I tell the stories of things that I was doing then. Which is what my prayer is for all of you listening or watching, is that you, if you haven't already, become a brand new creature, but you can. All you have to do is put your faith in Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Lord.
God said that when he was crucified, you were crucified, and when he was buried, you were buried, and when he was raised, you too have been raised to walk in newness of life.
Yes.
And that means that the old man, the old you, the old self has in fact died.
Yeah.
He really has died. And you just take that by faith. You say, well, Louie, I don't feel dead, and I think I still have the same thoughts and feelings and urges. And I say, yes, that's true. But you by faith say, that's not who I am. I'm a new creature in Christ, and I am exactly who he has made me to be.
Thank you, Lord.
And you stand on that, even when it doesn't feel or look like it all the time. You just keep standing on it. You keep standing on it, and you keep standing on it. That's what you do. That's the life of faith.
Stand some more.
That's right. Until you can't stand no more. All right. All right. I thank you all for joining us in this, I was going to say brief, but it's turned into something not very brief, hasn't it? Our anniversary special right here on the Louie File.
Yay. Happy anniversary.
We'll see you next time.
Peace out.